Hi, hello friends. I welcome all professional students and everyone to this session. I am DM Maunika, doing my physiotherapy final year. This video is for Young Physio Oratorship Contest. So today's topic is about PCOS and insight into yoga and exercise. Next slide. So we are going to cover the introduction, prevalence, clinical features, pathophysiology, diagnosis, side effects, medical management, physiotherapy management, yoga management, dietary management, evidence-based literature, and reference. Next slide. So comes the introduction. Polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS. As this name suggests, this is the presence of multiple cysts in the ovary. It is actually an endocrinological disorder, that is hormone imbalance. So the main hormones involved here are imbalance between LH and FSH. LH is the luteinizing hormone, which is responsible for the ovulation. FSH is the follicle stimulating hormone, which is responsible for the development of Graafian follicle. This disease is also known as Stein-Levin syndrome because this was first described by American gynecologist Stein and Levin. So this is named on their name, that is Stein-Levin syndrome. The main features of this syndrome are hyperandrogenism, irregular menstruals. So next comes the prevalence. Globally, prevalence of PCOS is 2.2% to 26%, and when it comes to India, 9.13%, and more commonly, adolescents and young women are affected. Next slide. So in the first picture, you can see the uterus, the fallopian tube, and the ovary attached to that. You can see both the normal ovary and the polycystic ovary. So in the normal ovary, you can see the development of Graafian follicle and ovulation takes place. But in the polycystic ovary, there is no such incidence. So you can see this round in shape, you can see. Next picture is the cross section of ovary. So in the first picture, a healthy ovary, you can see the development of Graafian follicle. So first one is primordial follicle that develops into primary follicle, then it develops into secondary follicle, then in turn it develops into mature follicle, and then ovulation takes place. But in the polycystic ovarian syndrome, the development is stopped at the particular stage and there are presence of many cysts. So there won't be any incidence of ovulation. So that's the reason that women with PCOS are unable to get menstruals. Next slide. Next comes the clinical features. The main clinical features of PCOS are irregular periods and absence of menstruation. This is because FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, is actually responsible for this development of Graafian follicle and ovulation. But in this case of PCOS, there is reduced amount of FSH. So there is no way for development of Graafian follicle and no ovulation. So there is no menstruals. Next is the excessive facial and body hair. This is presence of a hair over the upper lip, chin, cheeks, etc. This is actually because of hyperandrogenism, which means excessive secretion of androgen in the body. Androgen is the male sex hormone. So a reduced amount of luteinizing hormone in the body will stimulate the excessive secretion of androgen in the body. So that is responsible for this type of clinical feature. Next one is hair thinning and loss. It is known as alopecia. Hyperandrogenism is responsible for the feature of alopecia. Next comes the abnormal skin discoloration. This is because of excessive secretion of insulin. So excessive secretion of androgen in the body stimulates the excessive secretion of insulin. So that is responsible for abnormal skin discoloration. Next comes the acne. Acne is the pimple-like thing that appears on the skin. It is actually due to excessive accumulation of oil in the surface of the skin. So I mean at the hair follicles. So that is responsible for this acne. Next comes the high blood pressure. In PCOS women, there will be elevated cholesterol and lipid profile. That is responsible for high blood pressure. Next comes the weight gain. In PCOS, along with imbalance between LHN and FSH, there will be excessive production of insulin and reduced insulin sensitivity. So due to reduced insulin sensitivity, the cells in the body are unable to use the glucose in the blood. So that leads to accumulation of sugar in the blood, and that in turn gains the weight. So that is responsible for weight gain. Next comes the depression and stress. Due to these clinical features of irregular periods, absence of menstruation, excessive hair growth, the woman is always depressed and stressed, and it also affects the quality of life of the woman. Next slide. Next slide is the pathophysiology of PCOS. The initiative of this PCOS is the pituitary gland, because pituitary gland is responsible for secretion of LHN and FSH. In pituitary gland during PCOS, there will be elevated amount of LH secretion and reduced amount of FSH secretion. So hyposecretion of follicle stimulating hormone that leads to impaired development of follicle, and gradually it leads to chronic anovulation. Then hypersecretion of luteinizing hormone leads to hyperandrogenism, which means excessive production of androgen in the body. So hyperandrogenism leads to characteristics such as hirsutism, acne, and alopecia. So hirsutism is male pattern of hair growth. I mean hair growth over the upper lips, chin, cheeks as males have. Next is the acne, pimples. So that is due to accumulation of oils in the hair follicles. Next, alopecia. Alopecia is thinning of hair, and there may be hair loss, and severe cases there may be black patches also. Hyperandrogenism leads to hyperinsulinemia and insulin resistance. So insulin resistance, the body is unable to use the glucose, that leads to accumulation of glucose in the body, and that leads to obesity. And hypersecretion of androgen and insulin leads to increased extraglandular aromatization. So aromatization is the body's mechanism that the body always attains to maintain a balance between LHN and FSH. In case of PCOS, there is imbalance between these hormones. So due to aromatization process, the body again stimulates the pituitary gland to produce hormone. In turn, the pituitary gland will produce hypersecretion of LH and hyposecretion of FSH. So the cycle continues. So pathophysiology is a cyclic process. And in the pathophysiology, you can see hyperandrogenism, insulin resistance, obesity, and increased extraglandular aromatization are in cyclic manner. The cycle can go in either manner. You can see the directions of the arrow mark. So this is all about the pathophysiology. Next slide. Next comes the diagnosis features of PCOS. So ESHRE is the European Society for Human Reproduction and Embryology, and ASRM is the American Society for Reproductive Medicine have designed the criteria of diagnosis. So they have designed that if there are 2 out of 3 features are possible, then it can be diagnosed as PCOS. So the first one is clinical or biochemical features of hyperandrogenism. That means increased levels of insulin, luteinizing hormone, and reduced level of follicle stimulating hormone in the blood analysis. So that is the clinical hyperandrogenism. Next comes the oligo-ovulation or anovulation. So oligo-ovulation is the irregular menstruals, or anovulation is the absence of menstrual. So due to reduced amount of FSH, there is no way for development of Graafian follicle, and absolutely there is going to be no ovulation. So that is responsible for second one. Next one, polycystic ovaries on ultrasound. So ultrasound is a diagnostic procedure. Presence of cyst over the ultrasound is the third criteria. You can see in the picture. So first picture is anovulation. Second is blood analysis, hyperandrogenism. And third one is presence of cyst in the ovary. That means polycystic ovaries. Next slide. So in the first picture, you can see the acne, hirsutism, and alopecia. So these are the physical signs of PCOS, and especially these 3 signs are due to hyperandrogenism. So reduced amount of luteinizing hormone induces the excessive secretion of androgen, so male hormone. So these 3 features of hyperandrogenism. Acne, you can see in the picture over the chin, red color dots. So those are acne. And hirsutism, male pattern of hair growth. So you can see the hair growth in chin and other area. And next one is alopecia, thinning of hair growth and even hair loss. So next picture is the ultrasonography of ovary. You can see the normal ovary and polycystic ovary. In normal ovary, there are no presence of cysts, and in polycystic ovary, you can see the black colored circles. So those are the cysts. This is the comparison of ultrasound report of normal and polycystic ovary. Next slide. So next comes the side effects. So side effects include hyperinsulinemia, insulin resistance, excessive androgen secretion, ovulatory dysfunction, polycystic ovaries, gonadotropin abnormalities, which means imbalance between the luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, obesity, infertility, and absolutely there is going to be high risk pregnancy. So these are the complications. Next slide. So next comes the medical management. I'm not going to explain much about medical management. So first one comes the COC, which means combined oral contraceptives. So this is the mainly prescribed drug for PCOS. So the function of this is to suppress the androgen production and improve the symptoms of menstruals. So next one is anti-androgen. This drug actually acts as agonist for androgens. Next comes the progestins. So progestins is usually described for women who have a major issue of menstrual disturbances. Next comes the insulin resistance drugs. So this drug used to improve the insulin sensitivity of the body so that all the glucose in the body can be used and accumulation of sugar can be avoided. So that helps in reduction of obesity. So this is all about medical management. Next slide. Next slide comes about the benefits of exercise in PCOS. So benefits include improvement in anthropometric measurements such as BMI, waist circumference, and also helps in reduction of weight. And improvement in metabolic parameters such as total cholesterol, insulin resistance, and lipid profile. Even it improves the insulin sensitivity and it has some effect on menstrual cycles and ovulation. I have collected all these points from the literatures. I have mentioned the references at the end of the slide. You can see. Next slide. Next comes the physiotherapy management. So as far as physiotherapy management exercises are concerned, so the exercise protocol should be individualized. Sometimes the woman may be very obese, sometimes she may be lean, but she may have PCOD, and sometimes she may feel fatigue more easily. So before prescribing the exercise, the physiotherapist should assess the woman completely and the protocol should be framed according to the assessment and her body. So here comes the aerobic training. So first, as usual, it comes the warm-up. So warm-up should be done for at least 5 to 10 minutes. So this warm-up session prepares the body and mind for the next exercise session. Next comes the conditioning phase. Frequency. As far as aerobic training is concerned, 5 days per week is enough and it should be done for 12 to 24 weeks. As far as exercises are concerned, it has a beneficial effects on PCOS only when they are practiced for prolonged duration of time. So at least exercise should be done for 3 to 6 months to get some beneficial effect. Intensity. The intensity can be circuit training or else continuous training. So in case of circuit training, first 10 minutes with 70% to 75% of VO2 max and next 15 minutes followed by 50% to 60% of VO2 max. Next comes the continuous session. So continuous session intensity is about 60% to 75% of HR max. So they should include large muscle groups. Activities such as running or cycling can be given for 30 to 60 minutes. This is about continuous session. Next comes the time. It's been duration of exercise. 30 to 40 minutes it should be practiced and especially it should be fatigue free level. For example, if a woman is feeling fatigue at 20 minutes of duration, the exercise should be terminated there. Beyond that, a woman should not continue the exercise. But gradually, the duration of exercise should be increased, but in a gradual manner. Next comes the mode. It may be treadmill or cycling. Next comes the progression. So progression should be made for every 2 weeks. So progression should be 10% of VO2 max or HR max. And the next thing to note is that every 4 weeks, the new VO2 max of the woman should be assessed by the physiotherapist. Next comes the cool down. So cool down should be for 5 to 10 minutes. So it brings back the body to normal physiology. This is all about aerobic training. Next slide. So next slide comes about the resistance training. Warm up for at least 5 to 10 minutes as usual. Then frequency. As far as resistance training is concerned, 2 to 3 days per week is enough and it should be done for 12 to 24 weeks. And the very important thing is, I am repeating, exercise has a beneficial effect on PCOS when it is done for prolonged period of time, right? Next, intensity. So intensity is about 60 to 70% of 1 RM. The patient can do lateral pull down, military press, chest press, biceps curl, triceps curl, abdominal curl ups, split squats, and extensions. So 2 to 3 sets should be done and 8 to 12 sets in 12 repetitions in per set. And 1 minute of rest can be given between each set. As this is a resistance training, so Valsalva maneuver should be avoided during lifting. Next comes the time duration, 30 to 40 minutes, and fatigue free level. Next comes the mode, and the woman may use dumbbell, barbell therapeutic, and weight pulley machines also. Progression. Here the progression is based on the number of repetitions and number. And so this is known as calisthenics, which is for active recovery. This is all about resistance training. Next slide. Next slide is about the yoga management. So yoga management also has beneficial effect on PCOS when they are continued for prolonged period of time. Yoga practices should be done for 20 to 30 minutes per day, 6 days of a week, and for 12 weeks. So prolonged duration of time has some beneficial effect. They include asanas of supine series, prone series, sitting asana series, and standing asana series. Supine series include Uttan Padasana, Pavan Muktasana, Naukasana, and Setu Bandhasana. Prone series include Bhujangasana, Dhanurasana. Sitting series include Vakrasana, Baddha Konasana. Standing series include Kati Chakrasana, Ardha Kati Chakrasana, Dvikonasana, and Padahastasana. Next slide. Along with the asanas, pranayama should also be practiced for beneficial effect. Pranayama are nothing but they are breathing techniques are used in yoga. So two types of pranayama are indicated for PCOS: Brahmari pranayama and Nadi Shodhana pranayama. Brahmari pranayama is active inhale and exhalation through nose, but that should be a slow pace. That is slow inhalation followed by slow exhalation. During exhalation, a humming sound should be produced, like hum. That sound should be produced during exhalation. So that is Brahmari pranayama. So the meaning of Brahmari is bee, honeybee. The honeybee used to produce a sound hum. So that sound is produced during the exhalation. So that is why this pranayama is named as Brahmari pranayama. Next is Nadi Shuddhan pranayama. So this pranayama cleanses the entire body. So this pranayama can be practiced by every individual. I mean normal individual. It has a beneficial effect. You can see here picture a girl doing Nadi Shodhan pranayama, and you can see a hand, that is Dhyan mudra in the hand, extension of thumb finger, little and ring finger, and flexion of index and middle finger. So if you are going to practice with your right hand, your thumb should be placed on right nostril and little and ring finger should be placed on left nostril. So the Nadi Shodhan pranayama, the procedure is very simple. Inhale through right nostril and exhale through left nostril. Again, inhale through left and exhale through right. So this is the one cycle of pranayama. So while you are inhaling through right, the left nostril should be closed by little and ring finger. While you are inhaling through left, the right should be closed by thumb finger. So that's the procedure. Next comes the Kriya. So Kriya means cleansing techniques. So there are Shat Kriyas in yoga. So 6 cleansing techniques are there, but only the Kapalabhati is indicated here. Kapalabhati is forceful expiration. Forceful expiration. So the expiration should be in such a way that while you are exhaling, your tummy should tuck in automatically. I have attached the video in next slide, so you can see that in the next slide. Next comes the mudra. Yoni mudra is actually followed in PCOS. So in the picture, you can see the Yoni mudra, how the hand is placed. So benefits of this mudra is this mudra makes you feel more calm, composed, peace, and it stabilizes even your mind. So this mudra has an impact on reproductive health and menstrual imbalances. As PCOD is concerned with the imbalance between hormones and menstrual disturbances, this mudra is indicated in PCOS. Next comes the relaxation. So relaxation in Savasana. Savasana is normal supine position. So the woman can relax in Savasana position. So that's it about yoga management. Next slide. You can see the video here. Play the video. Hope you all observed the video. Hope you all observed the movement of abdomen in the video. So that is the Kapalbhati. So in the next slide, I have mentioned the asanas. Supine series includes Uttan Padasana, which means bilateral SLR, Pavan Muktasana, bilateral knee to chest position, Naukasana, that is balancing your whole weight on glutes. This type of exercise are usually practiced in pilates. Setu Bandhasana, modified pelvic bridging. Next comes the prone series, Bhujangasana, which means cobra stretch, Dhanurasana, which means bow pose. Next slide. Next slide, I have included the standing asanas and sitting asanas. Kati Chakrasana, you can see the image, Vikonasana, and Pada Hastasana. These three asanas are in standing pose. Next comes the sitting asanas, Vakrasana and Baddha Konasana. So Baddha Konasana is butterfly stretch position, which we usually indicate for adductor tightness. Next slide. So next comes up the Surya Namaskar, which means sun salutation. We are respecting the sun. So that is why it is named as sun salutation. So researchers have proved that even Surya Namaskar has an impact on beneficial effects on PCOS when practiced over prolonged duration of time. So Surya Namaskar should begin always with empty stomach. It should be done 5 times a day and gradually it should be increased to 30 times per day. So there are 12 asanas in Surya Namaskar. I have mentioned given the picture here, you can see, and the picture is numbered 1 to 12. First one, Pranamasana, prayer pose, Hasta Uttanasana, raised arm pose, Hasta Padasana, hand to feet pose, Ashwa Sanchalasana, equestrian pose, Dandasana, stick pose. So stick pose, to be make it simple, it is a plank pose. Ashtanga Namaskara, 8 limb pose. This is a pose where 8 points of our body are touching the ground. The 8 points are 2 hands, 2 feet, 2 knee, chest and chin. These 8 points are touching the ground. Next comes the Bhujangasana, Cobra pose, Pavan Muktasana, mountain pose, Ashwa Sanchalasana, equestrian pose. You can see in Ashwa Sanchalasana, the one leg is extended and other leg is flexed, that hip and knee. Next, Hasta Padasana, hand to feet pose, Hasta Uttanasana, raised arm pose, Pranamasana, prayer pose. These are the 12 postures of Surya Namaskar. Surya Namaskar is a cyclic exercise. So we started with Pranamasana and ended with Pranamasana. These are also beneficial effect on PCOS. Next slide. Next comes the dietary management. So DASH diet, dietary approaches to stop hypertension. It's a beneficial effect on PCOS. So this diet actually consists of 52% of carbohydrates, 18% proteins, and 30% total fats. So it is designed to be rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, low-fat diets, foods low in saturated and fat and cholesterol, and refined grains. So certain foods to be avoided in PCOS are very important. So they are refined carbohydrates such as white bread, white rice, saturated and trans fat, inflammatory foods such as processed and red meats, and sugary diets. So the dietary management is best explained by the picture. You can see the first picture, it is very happy. So it is having healthy food, and second picture, junk food. So always take healthy food and avoid junk food for PCOS. Next slide. Next comes the evidence-based literature. So Disha Shetty et al. In 2017 proved that aerobic training has beneficial effect on body mass index, waist circumference, total cholesterol, insulin resistance, and lipid profile. Next evidence is about Visa et al. 2016 stated that progressive resistance training, when run for 12 weeks, have a beneficial effect on body weight, lean mass, fat-free mass, and BMI. It also has an impact on depression, anxiety, and quality of life. So next evidence is about Line M. Redden et al. 2011 stated that aerobic exercise has effect on body weight, insulin sensitivity, and even it has reduced the number of follicles that are measured by MRI. So next researchers, Harrison et al. At 2011 stated that aerobic exercise has beneficial effect on reproductive and cardiometabolic outcomes. Next slide. So M. Edil Rukmani et al. In 2017 stated that yoga intervention has beneficial effect on insulin resistance, improving androgen status, and even it helps in aiding weight management. So next is Vinya V. Poddar et al. 2017 has stated that Surya Namaskar, when practiced with pranayama, has beneficial effect on physical and mental health, and it also regulates the menstrual cycle, reduces BMI, and even it controls hair fall. Next research is by Izzat Azemi et al. 2015 stated that DASH diet has beneficial effect on insulin resistance and belly fat. So these are the research evidences. Next slide. So these are the references of my session. If you want, you can make use of it. Next slide. And thank you for all your attention. I take this opportunity to thank the entire team behind the Young Physio Oratorship Contest and a special mention to the YouTube platform Nitin Kumar Ara, which helps in enriching our knowledge. I request all to like, share, and comment my video and subscribe the Nitin Kumar Ara channel so that you can get instant updates. And stay safe, keep learning, and thank you everyone.